Hello friends, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. In this video, we are going to talk about how to send email in Web API using Mailkit SMTP. So if you are planning to include email or messaging in your application, whereby you want the user to confirm a code that has been sent to the person's email, then I suggest you watch this video because it's going to help you to understand how to include this email message in your application. In this video, it's going to be a .NET 7.0, that is the current version as I speak, and you're also going to implement a web API, and you're going to install a package that is a Mailkit. That's what you're going to use in this video. So by the end of the whole video, we must be able to send message to our email. Alright, now as you can see from the screen, I have a blank web API project. Do you know how to create web API project? Then do it. If not, launch a Visual Studio 2022 and click on File. Now, New Project. Okay, so here you go to New Project. So let's click on that and see what we can actually do here. So New Project. And now with this new project, we can actually create one. We wait for the template to load. And we're going to choose Web API. So as you can see from here, Web API, click on Next. And we give it a name. Okay, so give it a name. Click on Next. When you are done, the next thing to do here is you're going to choose the target framework. That is the 7.0. As I record this video, that's the current version we have. Okay, so you can see now we have our app created. So 7.0, and you click on create to get it created. I have a previous one here already, so I'm not going to create any one, no new. Now I deleted some of the default files, such as the forecast and the weather forecast class and the controller. I deleted them, so I'm not having it. So if I run this, that is what I have currently. No operation defined in spec. So let's start it. Now to get started, the first thing to do here is we have to create our fake email account. We don't want to use Gmail or Yahoo Mail because I don't want to give you my password to my email. So we want to create a fake email. And this ethereal.com supports this. Purposely designed for developers like you. So you can just go in there and try to create an email over there. So launch your browser, and I have one already. So as you can see from here, I try to get one. You can see we have please verify your account on our website. Copy this code. So that's the code that we have sent. But for this video, you're going to create a new one. So let's see, go to ethereal.email. Okay, so let's clear this off. Ethereal.email, and now make sure I'm connected to internet first. So now I'm not in the, let me just on my connection. Okay, so I have some messages. Alright, now let's see, I'm connected now. So let's go again. It's ethereal.email. And now let's see. So we're going to create, so click on create new Ethereal account. So click on this, and it's quite simple. So you can see you have it here already. We have the host, the port. Okay, this is the authentication. So this is the joe48@ethereal.email. We have this, the password. So let's keep this. That's what we're going to be using for our project. Once you have a fake email account created now, the next thing to do here is we have to install our Mailkit package. So let's go to our dependencies, right click on that, manage NuGet packages, and we want to install the package known as the Mailkit. Now this is developed by Jeffrey Steadfast, and that's awesome. So click on the browse, and now let's type in Mailkit. So mail, you add a kit, and you're good to go. So let's wait for the pop-up to come, then we can install. The current version is around where is it? That is this one by Jeffrey, as you can see from here, 3.5.0. that's the current version. That's a 2023. click on install. Now let's get this installed. And as you can see, it is an open source .NET Mail client library for Windows, Mac, Linux, and mobile platforms such as iOS and Android. So any of these platforms can still have a look or can implement this in its code. Alright, now when you go to output, you can see done. Okay, so now we are done. The next thing to do here is quite simple. Let's see. We want to first create a controller. We want to pass everything. We're going to take a look on two aspects. The first one here is we're going to provide the data or the parameters. The first one that we're going to talk about here is providing a default in the controller. Second, we're going to create a service class, a service folder, where we're going to provide it in the service. Okay, so we choose the two. Depending on how you want it to be done, you can choose any one at all. Or at times, in life, it gives us multiple options. Then you can choose from the one that it suits you. Okay, so let's close this and Solution Explorer. Right click on this controller. Let's click on add a new controller. Let's give it a name as email controller. And this is supposed to be an API. I believe you are aware of that. So click on API and new API controller. The name is supposed to be email controller. So let's add that over here, email controller. Okay, so we are done with that. Now let's get a method which is going to post our message. Okay, so let's see the HTTP verb that we are going to use here. It is known as post. It means you want to register. Now with this post, we can still pass in here. You can give it a name as send email. So send email, and that is the name of our post. Now let's say in here we can write our public here, and let's give it an I action result because you don't want anything much. You want to have an I action result. So let's say that's inner controller public, and you can have an action result. Okay, so action results. Wow, see where we are typing this in. So it's supposed to be in here. Alright, so let's have our HTTP post. Now there's going to be a public I action result. Now let's give it a send email. See, that is quite simple. And here we want to pass in the body. Okay, so we can decide not to pass in anything here for now. We can decide to set the, let's see, if you want to set a default value to be sent all the time, you're going to pass any method here. This is what you will do. So via email, create a variable as an email. We set it to, that is MIME, take note, and message. So take note of this. Let's try to figure this out. So we have to get the keyword because we're creating an instance or an object out of it. So we have this, and we have an object here as an email. So we can now pick this email and set the subject, from, to, and the etc. Okay, so now we have the container. Now let's pop up the container with a whole lot of things in here. So dot from, so email from dot add. Now let's add, and we can talk about that is a mailbox. So mailbox address and dot pass. So you want to pass in the name. So it is from who? I give it this, and let's go in there to our fake account. Now the name here, it is Joe. Whoa, it is over here. So let's copy this. It is from this guy. Okay, so we assume it is ours. So from this, we paste it over here. We close it. Now we can the same thing, email. Whilst we have from, are you not going to have to? Yes, you can have. So to, and the same thing. So that's a mail address dot parse, and as you can see from here, we can also so we are sending from the same person to the same person, okay? Because you want to check the message in mail, so that's why we are using this, okay? Now the next thing to do here is, once we have the from and to, we can add subjects. So email dot subjects dot, all right, so let's say it's equal to, now there is an email subject, so testing email, so this is our subject. Now when we have our subject, we go in for our body, so email dot body, okay, this body is equal to, so we can set up a string over here, and that's going to be var message, okay, is equal to, and this we can say be hello. You can take this off, then what are you doing? How are you doing? Just passing by. Alright, so just passing by, that's a message that you want to send. Okay, so we keep it here as a message over here. Now the next thing that you want to do here is the body. We can now get it as new test, so new test part, then we can pass in test format. So do you have test formats? Let's see, test formats. We are not having test formats here. Let's try again and see. So we can see we have new test part, then can we have a test format? So if you're not having a test format, then what can we do actually? So test format. Now let's try this and see, control plus period, and you have to use this test kit. So as you can see, MimeKit.test, that's what we have to use here, test format dot. Now here we can talk about text, only text, plain text, rich text, but you want to use an HTML. You see I made an HTML comment here, bold, right? So we're using the HTML comment. Then once we have this, we specify the text equal to, and here we say our message. That is quite simple, right? So this is our message passing in. So we have a subject, from, and to. We have a message, and the next thing to do here is we have to specify or open the server. We haven't done that, so let's go. So email dot, whoa, can we talk about email? Let's use this first. Now using var, let's call SMTP. I always say SMPT, that is TP. Okay, so it's equal to new, now SMTP, that is SMTP client. So we have an object out of this. Now you can call SMTP dot, can we connect? So you have various options here. Let's use the connect. Now this connect, we have to specify the SMTP, right, dot. Can we go out and copy this instead of typing? So let's go to the fake account. Now we see we have the host here. Let's copy this host, and now let's go in and paste the host here. Now aside from that, comma, and we have to specify the port, as you can see from here. So the port is 587. You can check it over here, 587, that's right. And we have to use a secured socket, that's a SSL. Okay, so as you can see from your bool, use SSL, so that is secure socket layer. All right, so let's use secured sockets. So secure sockets options. Are you not seeing this? All right, so control plus period, let's use this, and this is what we use. As you can see from here, we have the Mailkit.security, okay, dots, you can call for this dot start TLS, so start TLS. All right, so this done. Our next step that we can do here is we have to now authenticate ourselves, the sender. So SMTP dot, now we go for authentication. So authenticate, then we have to pass in the username and password. Now that's where we have to go in for this username. When we are done, we go for the password over here, and this is the password. So we have it specified, so we need not to worry. Can just go in there and grab them and now paste them, and we move forward. So we have the password and the username specified. So everything is done. Let's send a message. SMTP.send. Now .send, we pass in this email object that we have populated. And when we are done, don't leave the connection open. Let's disconnect it. Okay, because you're not going to send a message again, so you have to disconnect that. And now this is going to pass in Boolean, so let's say it's true. Get it off, and we can return okay. And maybe with this okay, we can say mail sent. Now this is done, right? So let's go in there. Now we are going to pass in anything, so let's run this application, save. Let's see, and application here, it is rebuilding. Whoa, so it is done. Now we need not to provide anything at all, right? As you can see from here, let's click on email, try it out, and let's first make sure we are connected to the internet first, because this we have to check our mail and make sure it is connected. So now I am online. I can now click on execute. So execute, and now let's wait for the response. We're gonna have a status code of 200 with a message known as mail sent. Wow, so we have mail sent. Now let's go to our email and check. So let's open in a new link. Let's see. Whoa, try to reload, and what does that happen? All right, so you can see we have it over. So testing email, that's right, everything is intact. Let's click on that. So that's our subject. So how are you doing? Just passing by. So you see it is automatically switched to an HTML. That is a hello, bold, plain text, not HTML, hello. So you see we're able to send the email now. Can you see, or I should increase the font size? As you can see, we have it over here. This is what we specified. Okay, the one thing that we can actually do here is also here we can decide to pass in string body. Now with this string body, it means we can specify the body here. So instead of passing this body, we can say this is equal to the body here. And now when we save this and we refresh our application again, let's see, it's going to refresh itself, and here we need to pass in a body here. So this is a body. So just pass in the body. So this is what, trying to see if this test is gonna work. Wow, this is too long. Executes. Whoa, that's right. So we can see we have no host is known, right? So let's see, am I connected? Oh, nah, I'm not. So let me connect to, I have an iPhone here, that's what I'm using. I'm having a problem with my network. So you can see that I have here no internet, so I'm using my phone to connect. Okay, that's why I said no network. Now let's execute again, and now we have network. So let's see the response for this mail sent. Let's check it out. Refresh. Whoa, let's click on mail again. Click on message, and you can see testing email. You have it as well. Just pass in the body, and you can see this also working. All right, so we have this. Now the next thing that we're going to talk about here is we want to create a service whereby you're going to pass in a model where user can specify two subject and the body. Okay, so let's do that. I believe this is clear. Yeah, so the next thing to do here is let's try to create a user model. So that's going to be a DTO, and here is going to be a request because you want to provide that. Okay, so we are providing can be a request or response. So it's a request, not a response. A request that we are passing in. So let's say, let's create a folder here and name it as add, and this is going to be email service. So with this email service, let's create an interface first. So add, and now it's going to be an interface. So email service. Now this email service, we want to just send message. So are you going to return something? Let's make it a task. Let's return a string, and here send email. So send email, let's make it as request DTO, and that's going to be a request. Okay, so there's a request that we are creating. There's a model. Now let's go in there and create the implementation class and add it before you create a model. So click on add new class, and it's going to be email service. Now this email service should inherit from the email service. So email service, control plus period, implement interface. We have it done here. Now request DTO, copy this, and now let's create a folder to this and name it as DTO for organized work. Okay, so this is DTOs. Now this DTOs folder, let's create a request DTO. So it's going to be a class request DTO, and now in this DTO you want to first have two. So whom are you sending to? We have this, so we set default to string dot empty. Then let's make a copy of these and we paste them. Okay, so we have to, and we have from, and we have message. That's quite simple. So these are the properties that we want in our message. Okay, so whilst we have this, let's try to implement this. How do you implement it? First of all, let's go to our controller first. So that's our email service first. Now control plus period, and now let's use the DTO. So let's see, is everything all right? So email service, so control plus period, use that. So it is now set. Okay, so we want to specify, we want to set up the host and the port inside the app settings. So let's also add this. So whilst we add the email service, so where is it? It's over here. Okay, so we need to create a constructor out of this, control plus period, and now click on generate constructor, and now let's pass in this configuration file so we can have access to the app settings file. Control plus period, and now create an assigned field. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. Now we are going to move everything from the controller. So we're going to move everything from here. We cut this, then inside our service here, take note, we are going to paste this here. Okay, now this the name of this is send email, and at the end we are going to return, since here we need to return a string. Watch here, so you can return mail sent. Okay, so now let's see what we have to do here. Now this is task, and this returning a string is a task, so it is returning a string here. Now this, can we make it as an async? Whoa. So let's fix this first. Control plus, use this. Let's see which one are we using. So that's a MailKit, not this. You're supposed to use the system.mail. We don't need that. So let's use the one from the MailKit. So that's the second one. Use the second one. So this one. Not this. This is not system.mail. We're not using this one. So let's try again. Control period. And now using the second one, this one. Okay. So this is what you want to make it. This is what you want to use. Okay. Now with this body, supposed to be request dot message. Okay. Now with the subject, you don't pass in this anymore. It's going to be request dot subject, isn't it? So, oh, did we specify? Oh, we didn't specify that. So let's say in our request, no subject. So let's copy this. Let's paste one more, and this is going to be subject. Let's save that, and we can now use this here. So request.subject. Okay, so we can now clear this message off because we don't need it. And here the two, we can now use request.to. Okay, and that is all. Now here, since this is a task, so return. Now it is saying that it can't convert this to string. So return this. And do you want to return any tags here? So it is saying that cannot implicitly convert type string to system.threading.task. So let's see if this is going to be. So let's take off this task, and you're going to return only a string. So that is it. Now we can just control period, remove unnecessary parentheses. Now mail sent. So with this, we can copy the signature, and in our this, instead of the task, it's going to be just a string. Yeah, we save that, and we are good to go. So you can see here from the message to, okay, and what again? Even from, because with this from, we need to specify that over here. Okay, so what we can do here, we can still create a model, or we can add this request. Here, it is what we want to send to. So we can take off this from, because I'm sure we don't need the from, right? Because this, we know it is from us, so we don't need this. So it is to there, and subject and message. That is all. So with this, we can specify this. So this is to this guy here. There is a message, and this is a subject. Now with this credential, that is our production or our company. So we have a default company email, or the organization email. So instead of this, let's specify this in the app setting. So here, app setting.json. Now we can specify that over here. And how are you going to specify that? This is quite simple. Okay, so we can do, say, like email. So we can say email address. Then we can specify what is the name of the email address. So let's go to the service. Now with this, we can actually go in there and copy this. So that is a from. So let's copy this, and we can actually clear this off. Yeah, let's go in there and paste it here. Okay, so that is a from, and we can write email host. So email host, we can still go in there, and there is a host. So we can also cut this. We go to app settings. We can paste the host here. Now we can install email host port. And you know the port here, and that is a 587. That is a port. Now email username, so email username, and we can specify that. So let's go in there and copy the username from this. So this is the username. We cut this, we paste it here. The last one, email password, and let's go in there and now let's cut this. So we see that is the default one, because this, anytime that you want to change, just come to the app settings and make a change here. Okay, so you need not to go to application itself and do anything. So just come here and make a change, and that is quite simple. So now once you have this, we have a configuration object created, so we can now grab the data from this config object. So instead of the, this is from, so we can say configuration config dot, and we can now use, can we have get, so dot get section. Alright, so get section, then we can specify the name of the section. Okay, so once you have this get section, now the first one is from, so email from, is it email host? Yeah, so let's see, and that is from, so we are looking for the app settings, and that is the email address. So there's the email address instead. So we can now go in there and email address. Okay, now once you are done with that, let's see, we have problem here. Why are you having problem here? This is supposed to be 3, 1, 2, 3. Yes, it's supposed to be 3 here, and now we have config dot get section. So pass config dot get section, then we specify the name of the email here. So let's try and see. I configuration config and send email pass mailbox address dot config get section. Okay, so let's actually see. So we're not having email address here, but are you not having email address? Let's check it over here. Yeah, we have an email address. Let's save that. Let's save this, and alright, so let's check our JSON message. So username, and you have username as well. Here was an email, so we can just take one off. Okay, so you can see we have email username, and that's the same thing as the email from. So we have the email username here. Let's go to our service. So we have an email username. Now with our, this is our email host. So we specify this config.get session.email host. Now there is a port, so we can still use config.get section. Then we can now pass in the name is what, email host port. Okay, so dot, let's use it value. Let's use the same thing to this dot value, and this also dot value. Okay, so email host gets config get session dot email host port, is that so? So email host port, copy this, and we can now go in there. Let's see, paste that config.get session dot value. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Can't convert this to integer, so this is what we can do. Instead of this, we can now pass in 587. That is very simple. Okay, we move now the next thing. So let's go in there and take off this because you don't want to convert that to integer. Let's pass it there straight ahead and move forward. Now with authentication, we need to pass in the same thing for this email. So config, let's copy this, we paste this. Okay, now let's paste this. So this email password, and that is the email username. So config, so we have the username here, and this is the password. Now let's see how many have one. So this is supposed to be, yeah, 1 or 2. Let's see. Okay, so this, everything is intact. Okay, so we see we are getting the user information from the app settings: username, host, and password. We get them from here. We can save this, and as you can see from my email service. Alright, so it's okay. Now let's save this, and now let's run application and see. So we save that. Now in here, but first of all, we have to register our service first. If not, it's not going to work. I believe you get me. So let's go to our program.cs, and here let's add builder.services.add scope email service. Yes, save that, and now let's wait for the refreshing to be done. And we need to provide 2 subject and message, and this is going to work it out for us. So we have the first one here, it is not. So now let's go in there, we save this, let's refresh it ourselves. So it is building. We wait for the building to be done, then we can actually move on. So we see it is quite simple. You just have to create a request object or data model, so we can pass in the model and specify the various properties in it. This is quite simple. So it gets refreshed. Now email. So let's see, this what we have with the body. No, we don't want that. So we have to go to, let's see, now in our controller. Oh, okay, so we don't have to pass in this again. Let's pass in our request DTO. So let's copy this controller, and now we pass in our request DTO, and we can say request. So in here, let's store the result. So var result is equal to, let's use, you have to use an await. Let's use this. So let's first inject. Let's create a constructor here and inject that service in. So I email service, we give it a name as email service, control plus period, create an assigned field, and we're good to go. So this email service dot send mail, let's pass in this request. Then at the end of the day, we are going to return this result, because you know when it gets sent, we want to say mail sent. Quite simple. Now let's save that. Let's refresh the application and see what it's going to do now. Now we are passing an object. We need to specify the various 2 subject and message, right? Try this out. And now with the 2, let's go in there and grab our message or our receiver. So this is a receiver. Let's specify the receiver here. Now message is sending message using MailKit. Then, so let's see, pass in a request model, request DTO to receive data and send them through the mail. Yes, as you can see, through. Okay, so we have this. Let's click on, execute. Now let's wait for the response. Is it going to be mail sent? We have no host, no such host is known. So let's fish it out and see where from the host. So we can actually copy this once and wait our service. Let's see. First of all, upsetting email host as smtp.ethereal.email. That's our host. We know our port already, so let's go to the service. Email service. Do we have our host? So email host. Okay. That value. So we have our message, and we have connect, send, disconnect. So let's try to get this done. Alright, so let's try to build the application first and see again. So right click and go to build, and let's build it. Okay, so now it is built, and let's see what we can do here. Let's run application again and see. Okay, now let's specify that try. Now here we copied already, so we paste that. Execute. Let's wait for the response. To see if everything is okay now, then we're good to go. So an error occurred while attempting to establish an SSL connection. Say not verified, and let's see. Okay, so let's see again. This is our email, a subject, a message. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so you can see now mail sent. So I just have to try it again. Did nothing. Click on this, try it again, and you can see message, sending message using MailKit. So you can see we have the text over here. Okay, so if we try to click on this execute again, we're going to have exactly the same thing. That's a mail sent. Mail sent. Go in there, refresh, come back. So we have exactly the same thing here, and it is done. Alright, so you can see we've been able to achieve what we wanted to get, and we have it now. I believe this is clear. The source code also will be available at the GitHub, and I'll include the description. That is a link in the description below, so you can just grab it and compare with yours. If you have any errors in it, you can try to fix it. Thank you guys for watching. I believe this is clear. Yeah, so remember to use the MailKit, and it's going to help you, and it's easy to implement as well. Just have to specify the host, port, and that's all. We're good to go. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. I think so.